Ready?
Yeah. Slowly.
So I haven't cut them apart yet, but I could, and it's probably easier to do with them cut apart, and I'll show you because I have one that's not entirely done and the other that is. So one thing that we have to check when we're walking these is we have to check that the side seams match, right? Because the back is going to sew to the front at the side seam, and we already talked about this. So from the HBL to the hem needs to be the same, and from the HBL to the side waist needs to be the same on both. If you haven't already, I think I've checked just about everybody's, but if I haven't, you can just use my hip curve. I just marked it, so it's in the direction of where the arrows are pointing, so they're pointing to one end of the tape. And if you just use that to draw your two sides, your curves will be the same. They'll be 8 inches, which is our side hip depth, and they'll be the same shape. So that all checks out. The center front, does this sew to anything?
No, it's on a fold.
So I don't have to do anything about that. The center back, does that sew to anything? What does it sew to? Sews to itself. So I don't have to check that. But I do have to check this. So here's my back bodice and my back skirt. So I want to make sure that from the center back waist intersection to the first dart, what we were calling dart placement, that first leg, those two should both be 3 1/16. So what I usually do is I take one and lay it on top of the other. I match up the intersections. There's my intersection right there. And then I put my pencil or a tack or something on the two center backs, and then I pivot to make sure that one's on top of the other. So this is my first dart leg right here, and it should match up. I'll just fold it back so you can see. I can see through the paper, but I don't know if you can. It matches up with my first dart leg on my skirt. So bodice and skirt dart placement are matching. Yay. Now I have a relatively big dart on the bodice, and I have 2 darts on the skirt. So what should I do? Any ideas? Because I have to figure out if this is going to match this. There's more than one way to do it. I could. So I could fold these darts, so I know from here to here matches up. So I could fold these darts and fold that dart and then lay them on top of each other just the way I did. But then they're both 3D, and one's curving this way and one's curving the other way, and they're fighting each other. So I find that hard to do. Like, it's easy mentally, but it's difficult, like, to actually do it practically. So what I usually do is this part is going to be sewn shut, so I can ignore it and just skip it. And this part is going to be sewn shut, so I can just skip it. So I'll go from, so I've already checked this space, so I can skip this first dart, and I can go to here, the second dart leg, and I can lay that on top of this second dart leg. And then I can make a little mark on my paper for where the first dart leg of the second dart hits. So I have my pencil to hold my pivot point down. So that's where my second dart leg is. And then here's my second dart, it ends here. So I'm gonna take this and move it over to the other dart. And then what I should find, I have to pivot it a little bit because one is curving up and one is curving down. So I have to pivot it a little bit, and what I should find is that my intersection down there, which I think is M on the back bodice, should match my P or whatever, and I'm finding that it's not. It looks like I have, so let me show you what it's doing. I need to poke a hole or something. And I just need to check that I'm like looking through it right. But what I'll do is I'll check with measurements, because I don't remember if I measured this. And that's what I was doing for all of you guys. I was checking measurements. So it looks like my bodice is ending here. So I have some kind of a discrepancy. So what I need to do is measure. I need to measure this and make sure this is right. And some of you I was talking through while I was doing it. So I'll tell you what I do. So we know that the back total space, the back waist arc is 6 3/8 plus 1/4, which is 6 5/8. So with the dart shut, from center back to side waist should equal 6 5/8. So what I did was on my ruler, like I already checked, this is 3 1/16, and that's good. And then this is 1 1/4, so I just move it over to here. And then I get to there, and I don't even have to do the math. And then I put my 6 5/8 on my last dart leg, and where my thumbnail is here should hit my side waist, and it does. So it's math without math, right? So I should be, so I know that one is measuring properly. Is this one measuring properly? So this distance should be 3 1/16, which we know it was because we matched it up to the skirt. And this distance should be the 6 5/8 minus the 3 1/16. Right? So this is 10/16. So 10/16. So 6 minus 3 is 3. And 10/16 minus 9 is 9/16. So that's what I need to check here. So this should end up being 3, and it's not. So this is where my problem is right here. So I need to tip this out. So this needs to be 3. It's 3 1/4 right now, which is 4/16. So it needs 5 more 16ths. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it needs to be there. So I can't talk and do at the same time. And you see that distance right there? That was my discrepancy, and that's where my discrepancy is. So I just checked the measurements, and I can tell those don't walk. So rather than cutting all this paper out and drawing all this stuff on muslin and then cutting the muslin out, and then when I sew it together I find that they don't match, and then I have to go fix my pattern anyway, I've already saved myself some time just by walking them. So now I'm going to fix this. So I'm going to go back in my book and check my, my instructions for this. Can I just swing it out here? I don't know. That's why I have to check my book. I mean, I know, but you need to check your book to find out if it's okay just to swing this line out, because that might throw off your balance depending on how it is, how the instructions have it laid out. So now I have to do the same thing with the front, right? So I have to make sure that the front should be 3 inches exactly from my center front to my first dart leg. I can't see through my paper. A light table would be a really good thing. I should have done this video over the light table. Next time. We'll do it when we walk the sleeve. Remind me. So that's working. So now I have to skip over this and skip over this dart. I don't know if you can see it. So I'll line that up. So this is my next dart leg. And then I'll skip over that dart to here. And then that should be lining up to my side waist on my skirt. I think that's where it is. Yeah, so that lines up. So I don't need to fix that guy. So now I've checked my waist, and I've checked my side seam, and I've checked my shoulders. I know I have to redraw that, and I know I have to figure something out for that. And then these 4 pieces are done, and now I'm ready to cut them out. Should we? I actually don't think we should. Yeah, we'll do it. Here's what I'm thinking.